What I have to explain, I'll condense in a short time. Since this is mainly our teacher training program, so my remarks are mainly addressed to the teachers who have come here for the training. There are many teachers training programs all over the world and also in India. Some very extensive ones. So what is it that you might receive and the direction in which you might develop in this teacher training program? First of all, a teacher of classes is not a teacher. A teacher of people, a teacher of individuals is the teacher. You teach a class, you finish the class, they go home, you go home. There is no relationship. To whatever degree of spirituality and realization you have arrived, you bring people to that level, then you are a teacher. So your own self-realization, your own spiritual awakening has to continue, and that is called teaching. Teaching a technique is no teaching. Technique is important, but can you teach me the correct technique for smiling? For what feeling I should stretch my lips, how many centimeters? There should be a textbook about it. How much I should open my mouth, for what effectiveness, how much of my teeth I should show. What should I do with my eyes when I'm smiling? Where should I be looking? The day a textbook on the correct technique for smiling comes out, the smiles will vanish from the earth. And that is my view about teaching techniques of meditation. These things do happen. The mouth does extend so many centimeters in a smile, but not because the baby born was taught by the mother, sit down, I will teach you how to smile, and hold classes. When meditation becomes natural to you, meditation is a smile of the mind. Making your mind smile, making your mind, as I always say, wrinkle-free. There are too many wrinkles in people's minds. So this is what you learn here You learn the yoga that proceeds from the mind, not that proceeds from movement of the muscles. The muscles are moved by the mind. If you do not know the mover, you cannot understand the movement. If you do not know the mover, you cannot understand the movement. No matter how many books on anatomy you can read, you can copy and reproduce the entire Gray's Anatomy book, and that will not make you a yoga teacher, and that will not make you a doctor, unless you know the mover, the mind. So, in much of yoga that has, for some strange reason, much of yoga that has, for some strange reason, become yoga, and I don't know what that is. I'd like to know what that is. Much of yoga or yoga that is being taught starts from the body, ends with the body. In the teaching of this tradition that Swami Rama of the Himalayas taught us, his gurus taught him, their gurus taught them, going back to thousands of years. The primary concern is to understand the soul and the mind. Here we talk of Sankhya system of philosophy. According to the texts of Sri Vidya, from Kapila to Shankaracharya, there are 68 generations of teachers. Who taught whom, who taught whom, who taught whom. And it is by what we call in Sanskrit tapobala, the power of their ascetic endeavor, that the blessing flows down to us today. In these times of adversity, the teaching continues, and no matter how much you try to reduce yoga to a mere physical endeavor, spirituality keeps rising up in people's minds. The quest for understanding the mind and the soul and the Atman remains one way or another. It is not of your doing. It is not done by human intervention. It is a presence within you. And a teacher is one who knows to attune himself or herself to that internal presence. So, if you've read my book, Philosophy of Hatha Yoga, you will understand what we are talking about. So our yoga proceeds from Atman, soul, or whatever way you want to translate that word, to many different layers of the mind energy. Many different layers of the mind energy. Many different layers of the mind energy. Passing through them, how that energy is passed on to become prana, our energy body. how that becomes the breath, how it becomes the relaxation of the physical body, how it becomes the rejuvenation of the physical body, how it becomes the healing of the physical body, from inside outwards. The movement of consciousness in this yoga is both ways. The movement of consciousness in this yoga is both ways, from outside inwards. Most people are identifying with their bodies. I am this. Stand before the mirror. Am I looking nice today? Am I not looking nice today? The haircut I had yesterday, does it make me attractive? Does it not make me attractive? No. Are my eyes better looking than the eyes of my neighbor I saw yesterday? How can I make my eyes look better than hers? No. And all this constant body identification. But who is the identifier? Who is doing the identifying? Are the eyes doing it by themselves? Is your body doing it by itself? So we move from these identifications inwards, inwards, inwards to the identifier. And from that identifier, we move outwards and let the spiritual energy filter down to the surfaces of the body. Those who are total beginners, they have to start where they are. Their consciousness is in the body. They read about the spirit, they read about the mind, but have no understanding of the mind, what mind is, how it operates. They have no understanding of what this Atman is, what this soul is, what this being is. Okay? So, the aim is to reach a point where you are moving only from inside outwards, to use your layers, different layers of the mind, and mind has many, many, many layers, the different layers of the mind and of prana and the breath to bring you to that greater effectiveness, both in your spiritual pursuits and in your emotions and relationships and social connections, in everything. So bear this in mind, that this yoga, this tradition moves from inside outwards. And remember that being a teacher is establishing a relationship, establishing relationships with your students, and helping them to establish relationship with your teaching lineage, helping them to establish relationship with your teaching lineage. And through that, through the entire Rishi Parampara, through the entire lineage, the line of sages from whom this knowledge has come. This knowledge was not invented by somebody. It is not like, okay, Benjamin Franklin experienced electricity, so he started working, and then Faraday developed it, and it became all the electrical engineering process. I cannot name a Benjamin Franklin or a Faraday for yoga. It has no founder. It is the true source of knowledge that is its founder. That true source of knowledge pervades and prevails inside you also. those who wrote the ancient texts of yoga, those who gave the teachings of yoga, Sankhya, Kapila, Yajnavalkya, Patanjali. Okay. They were realized beings. They were not inventing something new. They were passing on what they received from the universal teaching spirit. It is to that universal teaching spirit that we pay homage. You may have learned by now the verse that we recite here, Hiranyagarbhat arabdham. The lineage, the parampara, the tradition that started with Hiranyagarbha, the golden womb, the teaching spirit of the universe. And when we work on opening what we call Guru Chakra, that is when you become a teacher, not by a teacher training certificate. Teacher training certificate does not make you a teacher. And if you have to depend on your certificate, then you are not a teacher. It's a strong wording, but you need to understand that all of these administrative conveniences people take a little too seriously. I don't count them. I signed the certificates. I'm not saying I will not sign them. If they're brought to me, sign it, Swamiji, okay, I'll sign it. But that's signing the certificate and you're receiving that certificate does not make you a teacher. You can hang 10,000 certificates on your wall, and yet you do not know the relationship with your lineage, and you do not know the relationship with your students to elevate those students to the level of those from whom the lineage has come, then you are not a teacher. So when we train our teachers, one point that we constantly, continuously emphasize, do not think that you are a teacher, that you are the teacher. The same thing when we give authority to our mantra initiators to give initiation. Say, do not think that you are giving the mantra. The lineage, the parampara, the rishis are giving the mantra. Okay. And those whom you are initiating, they are initiates of the tradition. So everyone who is serving the initiates, it is his duty to help every initiate. Okay? So also with the teachers. So when you are going to teach a group, it is not like teaching an embroidery class in school. Many people just put yoga as one of those subjects to be taught. Walk in the class, do their 40 minutes, walk out of the class. I'm a great yoga teacher. If you are trained in this ashram, in the tradition of my master, our master, in the tradition of his masters, then when you teach, there are two things that you need to do in order to be an effective teacher. In order to be an effective teacher, you need to do two things. For the last 40 years, I have made this point. The teachers we have trained, wherever Arrive at your teaching seat half an hour before. Sit there, meditate for that half hour. Don't prepare the coursework. Prepare yourself. Coursework you need to know. No question about that. The coursework you do need to know, but that coursework should become so assimilated, as we say in Sanskrit, should become so atmasat, so much part of your being that you don't have to think about it. Okay? The way initially you learn to start driving a car, oh God, how many things you have to remember. No. Okay, the rear view mirror, the gear, the accelerator, the brakes, the wheels, anybody passing me by, anybody coming from behind. Too much. I give up. Right? But then after a while, it becomes atmasat, it becomes assimilated. Your yoga should be that much assimilated that you don't have to think about what I'm going to teach. But arrive at your teaching seat half an hour before. Even now, at the age of 78, having been a meditator for 74 of those 78 years, I do not meet anybody, even for my private appointments, without spending 5 minutes of meditation, or 10, or 50, to meet anyone. I don't meet people. I must prepare myself. No. I give no appointments if I don't have time for that self-preparation, so that my counseling is not out of a psychology book. Okay. So, for teaching, prepare yourself, not your coursework, yourself, that you have linked yourself, to the Guru Spirit, to the all-pervading, all-prevalent, that Spirit, and abandon all claims to being a teacher. Abandon all claims to being a teacher. What are we? The giants of spirituality. Who taught thousands of years ago, whose words reverberate through their writings into our ears and minds, up to this day being handed down. You look at them, what are we? How much do we really know? How much is that certificate you will hang on your wall? Is it worth even one line of the text of Upanishads? You tell me that. That certificate you will hang on your wall, is it worth even one single word of Patanjali? But people get their teaching certificates and they write behind their names. Nowadays, every third person is a great Yogacharya, Yoga Sambrat, Yoga Rishi, and what are the other titles? I get lost in between. Up to now, after 74 years of non-stop meditation, I don't write the word yogi behind my name because I've seen a real yogi. Humility is the hallmark of a teacher. Okay. Not claiming to be a teacher. What am I? So remember, preparing yourself spiritually before teaching a group, number one. And number two, when sitting to teach or standing to teach, in your mind, surrender that teaching space, teaching seat to the Guru Spirit. Please teach. You say to the Guru Spirit, please teach. And the Guru Spirit will teach through you. You would have been struggling with a question for a long time. Someone will ask the same question in the class, an answer comes out of you. Many teachers have experienced that. How did I know the answer? Swamiji, is this the correct answer? Yes, indeed it is. No. Because at the moment of teaching, you stop being that individual limited to this time, space, causation, body. Remember this secret of teaching. Okay. So that is the point I needed to make. And second is practice, abhyasa, abhyasa, abhyasa. Practice, practice, practice. You learned the breath awareness practice. But you don't practice it. Every third, fourth day you remember, oh, I haven't done my breath awareness practice, so you sit down for 5 minutes and you expect benefits. It is like a doctor who gives you some medicine to take 3 times a day. You come home, you put the medicine away, and you forget about it. 3 days later you remember, oh my God, I haven't taken my medicine for 3 days. So you pull out the 3 days doses and with a glass of water take them all together. What is going to happen to you? Take the dose every day. And breath awareness practice, it does not cost you any money. You don't have to have, what are those materials nowadays that are very popular for the yoga fashionistas? It's a whole multi-billion-dollar business. No. Patanjali will faint. Okay. You don't need that. That breath awareness practice you can do anywhere. Your breath is always with you. Your breath is the sign of your life. You came alive with the first breath. Your body will drop with the last breath. The breath is there 24 hours. Don't say, I don't have time. You are waiting for the Swami to come to the lecture. What were you doing during that time? Don't have time. you had the time. You're standing in line somewhere. Standing in the line, what do you do with your mind? If you are a yogi, you will practice your breath awareness. You're waiting in a doctor's office, you will use that time. So let me recapture. Number one, that the awareness moves from inside outwards. From the seat of consciousness to the body, through the different layers of your energy patterns. Point number two, prepare not just the coursework, but yourself. Number three, abandon all claims to being a teacher, especially when you are teaching, whether you are teaching a child, one single child, or you are teaching a group, or you are teaching 5,000 people. Abandon the claims to being a teacher. Let the universal spirit who taught the first acharyas teach through you. And through that, you will learn. Through that kind of teaching, you will learn, because the acharyas, they will teach you through your mind. You will be only an instrument. 3 points. 4th point, practice. And 5th point, very briefly, I'm sorry I cannot stay longer, is that your true relationship with the lineage will be established through the mantra initiation. And on that, I'm sure our teachers will be talking about it. Without that, that connection will not be established. Okay, just bear these points in mind and think deeply. Think deeply. Okay. A teacher is selfless. A teacher is not teaching for the fees he or she is collecting. A teacher is not teaching for the fees he or she is collecting. A teacher is teaching for the service to that lineage from whom the knowledge has come. The fees are needed for your regular maintenance, but that is not what you are teaching for. You are teaching because you are to pay your debt to the lineage. I would go to my master and say, Swamiji, in the tradition, the stories on which we were brought up as children, the disciple washed his master's lion cloth for 12 years before he was given an initiation. And you don't let me even wash your handkerchief. You don't let me do anything. He said, no. He said, you want to serve? Teach. So your teaching is service to those from whom the knowledge has come. And if you really teach with that attitude, no one will ask you for your certificate. You don't ask me for my certificate. How do you know I'm a trained teacher? Oh. Okay. So these are the points I needed to make, and your true connection with the lineage will be established through your mantra when you sit down and connect to the lineage half an hour before teaching the group, and during the class also. In between, okay, relax your forehead, when you give a command, relax, let me tell you a secret of teaching relaxation and meditation. You said relax your forehead, and then you said relax your eyebrows. Between the two commands, you have to leave the person a second or two to implement the command, implement the suggestion. What do you do during that 1 or 2 seconds? And you remember your mantra for those 2 seconds. Relax your eyebrows, mantra, relax your eyes, mantra, relax your nostrils, mantra. And your relaxation will be effective. Otherwise, it is only words. Okay. And you will learn in this tradition how to go deep inside you, from where you will speak. When you speak from that depth, the words you speak will go deep into the listener's mind. Then you are a successful teacher. That is the mark of your success, are the words going deep into the listener's mind.